It was just past sunrise when my phone buzzed with an incoming text from Uncle Pete. "Emma, can we talk? I'd like a feature in your magazine." I sat up in bed, blinking against the early light. My first thought was, feature? As in, shine a spotlight on my work? From my Uncle Pete, the grammar school math teacher who still held a ruler in his hand like a scepter. Uncle Pete, who just 6 months ago told me I should stick to teaching instead of wasting time on that magazine nonsense. I sighed, thumb hovering over the reply field. Family dynamics, right? No matter how many degrees I accumulated or how successful my side venture became, in Pete's eyes I would always be that enthusiastic teacher's niece, not the editor-in-chief of Educate Forward magazine, the quarterly publication I'd founded 3 years ago. By mid-morning, I was in my home office, 2 walls of bookshelves crammed with colorful literature on pedagogy, curriculum design, and in the corner, back issues of Educate Forward. The magazine had started as a modest newsletter in my graduate school hallway, a place to share innovative teaching practices. Now it boasted a subscriber list of 12,000 educators, administrators, and policymakers, and had an online readership that spanned 5 continents. Still, my heart thudded as I typed. "Sure, Uncle Pete. Happy to chat. Coffee at 4? 4 o'clock arrived with a muted flurry of anxiety. I tucked a stack of blank feature templates into my messenger bag, grabbed my favorite notebook, and headed to the local cafe where Pete said he'd wait. The cafe was the kind of place with soft jazz drifting through Edison bulbs and baristas exhaling latte art like gentle exclamations. I breezed in to find Pete already perched at a corner table, a notebook beside him, and a steaming mug of black coffee untouched. He looked up, surprised to see me in jeans instead of my usual blazer, my attempt to seem relaxed, maybe. He grunted a greeting and gestured at the seat. "Emma," he began, eyebrows raised, "you're looking busy." "Always," I said, sliding in and setting the bag at my feet. "How's the school year?" He shrugged, fingers drumming on the tabletop. "Same as always. Kids are kids. Curriculum's fine." He sipped his coffee. "Listen, I've been thinking. Your magazine, I saw the spring issue, had that piece on STEM outreach in rural districts. Impressive, but I've got something worth featuring." I bit back a wry smile. "Oh?" Pete shifted, as if someone had just handed him a secret. "My 5th graders at Maple Elementary designed a community math garden, 12 plots, each teaching a different concept through landscaping. Fractions in flower beds, geometric shrubs, probability spore mushrooms." I blinked. That was actually a terrific idea. "That sounds amazing, Uncle Pete. I'd love to see it." He nodded, clearly pleased I didn't dismiss it out of hand. "Good, because I want Educate Forward to showcase real classroom innovation, and not just the big-name universities everyone quotes. Maple's kids deserve it." I leaned forward, pulling out my notebook. "Let's make it happen. Did you want a full feature piece, interview, photos, maybe lesson plans?" "Full feature," he said. "But I don't want fluff. I want the nitty-gritty, how it's organized, student reflections, measurable outcomes. I'm proud of what they've done." For a moment I held back. The editor in me balked at nepotism. But the magazine's mission was to highlight real teacher-led innovation, especially from underrepresented communities. Maple Elementary wasn't underfunded, but it wasn't on any School of the Year list either. This project embodied everything Educate Forward stood for: hands-on, student-centered learning that blended academics and life skills. I tapped my pen against the notebook sheet. "All right, let's schedule a visit, maybe next Tuesday. I'll bring the photographer." He smiled, the first genuine warmth I'd seen in weeks. Tuesday it is. That weekend I plunged into research mode. I revisited my feature template. Title, subtitle, overview, teacher interview, student profiles, lesson plan excerpt, community impact, resources and links. I sketched a tentative outline, opening anecdote. The morning the garden bloomed. Behind the scenes, Pete's motivation, how the idea sprouted from a parent-teacher conference. Student voices, interviews with 3 students, terrified at first, now beaming with pride. Data snapshot, survey results. 95% of participating students report improved math confidence. Lesson plan. Walk readers through building their own fraction flower bed. Reflection. How this approach can scale to other schools and subjects. Next, I emailed our photographer, Mia, setting up her for a whirlwind shoot at Maple Elementary. I notified my editor-in-chief, Lena, of the upcoming feature, tagging it as our lead story for issue 10, slated for early August. And I blocked out Tuesday morning, so nothing, no meetings, no deadlines could interfere. All week, my inbox floated in anticipation. Every time the phone dinged, I pictured Pete's beaming face in the schoolyard guard shack. Tuesday dawned crisp and clear. I arrived at Maple Elementary, greeted by a swirl of children in colorful jackets and the sweet, earthy scent of mornings in bloom. Pete led me through gates festooned with student-made signs. Welcome to the Fraction Garden, multiplication maze ahead, plant your potential. Jess against the red and yellow brick backdrop, the garden's plots shone, rows of marigolds for multiples of 4, stepped planters illustrating geometric sequences, and a chalkboard path mapping probability out to potted polka dot mushrooms. Mia knelt beside the beds, framing shots of students carefully planting seeds. I watched her capture hands pressing soil, young faces alight with wonder. My heart warmed. This was humanity in action, a collective moment of curiosity. Pete hovered near a rosebush, clipboard in hand. "Can you get Madison's corner?" he asked Mia. "She's explaining the Fibonacci sequence to the principal." I spotted Madison braids bouncing as she spoke earnestly to the school principal, Mr. Delgado, who crouched to her eye level. He asked questions about the spiral petals, and she traced the pattern with her finger. I edged closer, notebook open. "Madison," I said softly after she finished. She turned, cheeks rosy. "How did you learn the Fibonacci spirals?" She beamed. "Mr. Reed taught us to count petals on daisies for our first week. Then I saw that some had 5, some 8, some 13. It's like nature does math by itself." I scribbled her quote, "And how does it feel to wave your hand through math and make it part of the real world?" She winked, like, "I'm a math wizard." I laughed, recording student voices, genuine delight and ownership. Next, Pete and I retreated to an outdoor table for a formal interview, Mia snapping behind us. I asked him how the idea evolved. He leaned in, his teacher's gravitas smoothing into enthusiasm. "It started when I realized the kids were bored with worksheets," he said. "I needed something hands-on, something that brought the curriculum off the page." He tapped the table. "We have computers in every classroom, but we rarely use the world outside." The garden gave them a living canvas. Did they struggle with instruction versus discovery? I asked. He nodded. First week they planted sunflower seeds anywhere. We had a row at 10 inches, another at 6 inches. Then they learned error analysis, why some seeds sprouted, others didn't. You should have heard the laughter and groans when I asked them to calculate germination rates. They begged for more trials. I jotted notes furiously. Error analysis through self-guided experimentation, deeper conceptual grasp. Mia snapped a photo. Pete animated, gesturing toward the garden as late morning light dapples his hair. By midday, the principal, Mr. Delgado, gathered us for one final reflection, surveying the garden like a proud gardener his blooms. He shared community impact, a local nursery donated compost, the PTA hosted garden potlucks, and last week's math fair drew families from 3 neighboring districts. Most importantly, standardized test scores in Maple's 5th grade had climbed by 15% in the past term, a shift she attributed to invigorated student engagement. I huddled with Mia later, reviewing shots on her camera, close-ups of soil-laden fingers, wide angles of kids in lab coats and gardening gloves. Pete standing beside a chalkboard diagram. "This is gold," I breathed. "We'll need 4 pages just for the photo spread." Mia grinned. "Best assignment ever." That evening, back at my desk, I assembled my raw draft. The article's first lines came easily. At Maple Elementary, math doesn't live in textbooks. It blossoms in a garden of marigolds, shrubs, and seedlings. Under the stewardship of a veteran 5th grade teacher, Mr. Pete Reynolds, students are tracing fractions in flower beds and mapping probability through polka dot mushrooms, transforming abstract concepts into hands-on discovery. I wove in quotes from Madison and Mr. Delgado, data drop-ins on engagement and test scores, and curriculum tie-ins for educators looking to replicate the project. I flagged sidebars for teacher tips and DIY garden diagrams, plus a QR link to a downloadable lesson plan. Halfway through, my phone pinged a text from Uncle Pete. Thank you. I wasn't sure the magazine would get back to me so quickly. This means a lot. My chest tightened. I tapped back. Your students are amazing. I'm honored to share their work. I saved the draft, Maple Garden Feature _V1. Tomorrow I'd send it to Lena for review. But for now, I leaned back, rubbed my wrists, and let the warmth of satisfaction wash through me. My uncle, who once told me I should stick to teaching, had placed his trust in Educate Forward. And I'd repaid that trust by showcasing his classroom innovation to tens of thousands of educators. In the quiet glow of my desk lamp, I whispered a quiet thanks to the students, to Pete, and to every teacher who believed learning could sprout beyond the page. He hit reply all on his email before I could stop him, a click that sent the draft article and my careful revisions to the entire Educate Forward editorial team, plus Uncle Pete and Principal Delgado. My stomach lurched. I'd intended to loop in Lena first to catch any typos, adjust tone, and confirm photo captions, but the email was gone. I stared at the screen. Subject: Maple Elementary Garden Feature, draft for review. To Lena Marshall, Editorial Director. Maya Patel, Managing Editor. Pete Reynolds, Principal at maple.k12.edocc. Design at educateforward.com. I gulped coffee and tapped my desk. Okay, mistakes happen. I clicked undo, but Outlook doesn't undo sent mail. I closed my eyes and took a breath. If anyone noticed, I'd apologize and promise a polished version by morning. It was just a first draft. Before I could brace myself, my phone buzzed. A text from Lena. Got it, Emma. Looks great. I'll send comments by 8 a.m. Don't sweat the send-all. It's good to see Pete's excited. My pulse eased. She wasn't angry. She trusted me. I exhaled, leaned back, and let relief wash over me. At 7 a.m., I found Pete's reply in my inbox. Emma, seeing my name on that email made my heart leap. Looking forward to sharing this with the faculty. Thank you, proud niece. And Mr. Delgado's, I've shared the draft at our staff meeting. They loved it, which means more eyes on Maple's garden. Well done. I sank into my desk chair. Mistakes happen, but sometimes they lead to unexpected momentum. That morning, I piled into the office with the headline still swirling in my mind. How one classroom garden grew a generation of math wizards. Lena's edits were minor tweaks to tone, rearranging subheads, one missing Oxford comma, and Maya's feedback refined the call-out boxes. By noon, the piece was locked. Design sent me a mock-up, a 2-page spread. Aerial photo of the garden spanned both pages, inset photos of kids in action, and a sidebar headlined Maple's Math Garden Lesson Plan. At 3 p.m., I joined Pete on a Zoom call. His face filled the screen, eyes bright. Emma, I just saw the mock-up. I'm speechless. This is going in the summer issue? Early July, I confirmed. It'll hit mailboxes and our e-news subscribers. We'll feature it on the website and next week's webinar. He grinned. Thank you. The community center is planning a volunteer day, parents, alumni. I think we'll have 100 people out there planting new bulbs. That's amazing, I said, pride warming me. I'll run a promo. We'll cover your volunteer day in our July newsletter. Link to a photo gallery. Brilliant. He leaned closer. I want to show other teachers this is possible. Can I share your digital photos in our district newsletter? Absolutely, just credit Educate Forward. And our photographer, Mia Torres. He nodded, beaming. You've made me feel like a real innovator. You are, I said. This is inspirational. 2 weeks later, the email came, #Educate Forward. Summer 2025, #. Your exclusive is live. I clicked the link. The digital edition loaded. Vibrant, our 2-page maple spread greeted me. The photos crisp, the text singing. Beneath it, a series of comments from educators. This is the best thing I've read all year. Maple's model could work in any school. I can't wait to pitch this to my principal. And at the top, Pete's signature. In solidarity, Peter Reynolds, Maple Elementary. I forwarded the link to Sophie and Maya, then texted Pete. It's live. Check your spam if you don't see it. Moments later, his reply. In my inbox and in my heart. Thanks to you, kids across the country will grow their own math lessons. That afternoon, I grabbed coffee with Lena. She slid into the booth, her tablet glowing with analytics. Emma, this feature drove a 30% bump in site traffic on our Education Tech Hub, she said, eyes flashing. Our highest engaged article in months. I nearly choked on my latte. That's incredible. She tapped graphs. Plus, 2 new sponsors reached out, one from a nationwide nursery co-op, another from a garden supply startup. They want to sponsor teacher toolkits. Sponsors? My mind raced. Funding for future features could let us pay teachers to write for the magazine, expand our coverage, big stuff. Lena smiled. Yes, thanks to you and Maple's story. I exhaled, heart pounding. A side project once mocked by Uncle Pete was now powering Educate Forward's growth. The next day, at the weekly Innovation and Perks meeting, I stood before the reflective analytics team, my day job family. Priya moderated, half my colleagues tuned in via video, half in person. I introduced the new sponsors and the Maple Elementary case study. So here's the ask, I said, tapping the slideshow, photos of our staff planting bulbs beside Pete's students. I propose we host a harvesting math event at our annual retreat. Our teams paired with local schools to build learning gardens. We'll donate seed kits and staff hours. Reflective analytics can be more than data. Let's grow data literacy in our own backyard. The room crackled. Sales directors high-fived, HR beamed at community engagement prospects. Our COO leaned in. That's brilliant, Emma, she said. Budget approved. Let's map out pilot sites in 3 cities. I grinned, overwhelmed. My 2 worlds, education, publishing, and analytics, had intertwined into community action. That night, I logged off and cradled my phone, thumbs brushing over Pete's number. I tapped call. Hearing his warm hello felt like an embrace. Pete, I said, voice bright, I'm bringing Reflective's Harvesting Math pilot to Maple in October. They'll send 20 volunteers, seed kits, even part-time data analysts to measure impact, much like you did with your kids. His voice caught. Emma, they're coming? Here, I laughed. Tears in my eyes. I couldn't have done it without you. Silence. Then thank you, niece. His words trembled. For believing in me and in teaching. October arrived like a grand carnival. A colorful banner read, Harvesting Math at Maple Elementary, in partnership with Reflective Analytics and Educate Forward. 50 Reflective vested volunteers, our analysts, buzzed with crates of seedlings, custom data collection tablets, and branded signage. Students in yellow caps guided us through math stations. Estimate root depth, graph your growth, calculate watering intervals. Teachers conferred with analysts, crunching sunlight data, pH levels, and bud counts. I watched Pete, sleeves rolled, juggling a toddler's math puzzle and a registrar's spreadsheet. He spotted me and held up a handful of sunflower sprouts. These are perfect, he shouted over laughter. I sprinted over. Pete, look at this. I showed him a tablet charting seed germination rates. Our analytics are live. He swiveled to see, face aglow. This, he said, arms wide, encompassing kids' chalk drawing geometry paths behind us. Smiling staff, budding plots. This is what it's all about. As noon sun warmed the garden, we gathered under a pear tree for closing remarks. I guided the microphone to Pete. He adjusted it, the teacher's poise giving way to emotion. Thank you, he began, voice quavering, to our friends from Reflective, to Emma, for believing my side hustle was worth sharing, worth growing into this. He gestured at the lively beds around us. I thought teaching was my whole world, but today I see education blooms with community, creativity, and curiosity. Thank you for helping me show it. Applause thundered through the garden. I stepped forward to hand him a folded issue of Educate Forward, the summer magazine, still glossy, with the 2-page spread marking Maple's story. He held it to his chest, tears in his eyes. Then I whispered, "You're the real innovator, Uncle Pete." He hugged me, and in that embrace, I felt the culmination of every dream, the magazine's journey, the analytics-driven impact, the children whose eyes shone with possibility. That evening, as the volunteers packed up and the students drifted home with homemade seed packets, Pete and I lingered by the exit gate. He handed me a small brown paper parcel. "Open it," he said. Inside was a single seed on a white card, a rare variety of moonflower vine. A note read, "For your next experiment, thank you for sowing possibilities." I pressed the card to my heart. "It's perfect." He smiled. "Just like you." We parted ways under the harvest moon, Maple's garden glowing in the distance. I walked back to my car, shoulders light, knowing that one comment, "Stick to teaching," had set me on a path that united education, analytics, and community growth. As I drove home along tree-lined streets, the seed nestled in my jacket pocket, I whispered to the night, Plant the impossible, teach the unexpected, harvest the remarkable. And under that luminous sky, I knew every chapter ahead would flourish.